Welcome to the first official podcast of Addict Informative. This is going to be a short introduction to each of us individually, so you can kind of get to know who we are. And then we're going to be covering E3 this week. And first up is EA's conference. But first, I am Graham. I'm a co-founder, and I do movie reviews, video game reviews mostly. And I am into horror games, strategy games. I dabble in RPGs, and that's mostly what I like. So anything in that realm, I'm gonna be hitting pretty heavy. There's some upcoming games.
You'll probably be the only one hitting that realm.
Yeah. Probably, I'm probably the biggest horror fan out of all of us. So, expect some upcoming horror reviews and movies. Some stuff I'm excited about. So that's pretty much what I do on this site. Michael?
Yeah, so if you have been viewing our YouTube channel lately, you know kind of what I'm all about. Anime.
You've probably seen both of our faces.
Yeah, we've seen both of us before. Anime, book reviews. We just had a graphic novel come out, or is going to come out pretty soon.
Yeah.
I do all that on the channel. I also deal with some of the technical aspects. So if one of these guys, if there's an awkward silence for 10 or 15 seconds, I'll be editing that out.
Yeah. He gets the pleasure of editing this awkwardness.
That is what I do. And I really am excited for the channel, excited for all the content we're going to be putting out on our YouTube channel and this podcast moving forward and the website. So great to see you guys again, and I'll be sticking around.
Well, you guys probably know me if you watched any of our YouTube channels. I'm Josh. I'm lead administrator for this site and our YouTube channel. Try to get everything put together and keep everybody on track. I've been writing reviews and coverage over all of our content, games, books, whatever. In terms of our games, I really enjoy single-player experiences. Those are ones that I dive into the most. Pretty much any range, although I will say my favorite genre in games is most likely sci-fi, just because I've always been a fan of that. And, really looking forward to seeing what we can, dive into. So,
Very excited. So now we're going to tell you briefly about basically how we all met each other, and then how this got started, because it was pretty much on a whim. It was just one night, one of those magical moments, you know what I mean? We used to look at each other, and it just happened.
You ever get the thing where you're like, you've been wanting to do something for a long time, you're like, yeah, I don't want to take the leap just yet.
Yeah, you're just like, fool, basically.
Yeah.
That's what I was feeling.
No homo.
So basically, me and Josh, I think, go back the farthest. We actually met in second grade.
Yeah, known people for 12 years now. Known Michael for almost that long.
Yeah, Michael came around not long after that, and we've been pretty much like inseparable ever since. We bonded through video games, it's fair to say.
Yeah, and pop culture in general. That's kind of why we wanted to cover every basis of entertainment, just because, each of us have specific interests, and we may love one a particular more than maybe somebody else, but that just gives us a wider range of covering, because everybody has their own special area, and then we can capitalize and go off of each other.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. All of us sadly cannot be here today. We have one other member of our group who is missing. Maybe he's been abducted. I don't know.
It's more than likely from the trouble he gets into from time to time.
Our other member, Colt, is not here with us right now.
Sadly.
He's no longer here with us. But
he's no longer among the living? No, just kidding.
Yeah, no, he's busy right now. Just recently got back in the state, actually.
Yeah.
So we'll have him on an episode as soon as we can, hopefully, for this E3. We'd love to have him on, because he actually shares a lot of similar interests with Michael as far as anime and reading mangas and some of those similar video games. So we hope to be hearing from him.
Definitely dives into more of the multiplayer component of games. So if you are interested in that, he's definitely the one that you'll probably want to follow. So.
Yeah, and he's going to be heading our Twitch front pretty soon, because I know he does stream on there, and pretty soon we're going to have him set up to be doing that for Addict Informative.
Mm-hmm.
So we look forward to that. that's pretty much us right now. So how this all got started was we the four of us actually meet pretty much once a week at Josh's house where we're at right now, and we just hang out, we talk, and play video games, of course, and it's always a good time. And I was over with Josh playing Call of Duty, and just talking. And how did it come about? We were talking about writing because I said I was on Letterboxd.
Yeah,
you can,
I think it was right after because you were making that short story, and I think. I mean, that was the week before, and we were kind of riding on like that high of like talking about that, and then basically he was talking about how he was doing reviews on Letterboxd, and I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, I've always wanted to do something like online or like coverage and different stuff. So, it just kind of went from there. We're like, oh, we could actually do this, and we can like get people like Michael and like our friend Colton. So, which. Michael's been a huge help in like actually getting this started off because me and Graham like started working on the site, but I got to the point where I was like, it looks presentable, but it's not functional. And so Michael really helped found this and getting the ground up. Yeah. Sure. And so
it's his job.
Like we can say that like, you and me, Graham, like we can say that like we quote unquote like started it, but like honestly like making it an actual reality for you guys has been the help of like Michael and then also Colton. So
but then again, me and Josh have done basically all the writing, so it is ours. Anyway, it's definitely a group effort. We talk pretty much on a daily basis, covering we're always talking about like, hey, what do we want to review next? And right now where we're at, let me turn the phone off. Right now where we're at. We are still making the website 100% what we want it to be. We're not quite there yet. We're still getting things set up. This has only been going on for a little over a
3 weeks.
3 weeks now?
Yeah.
Man, time flies, man. So
it does.
It's all been pretty fast up and coming, and it's been exciting. And so it's just trying to decide what we have time to do because we have pretty hectic schedules. So
yeah. So I guess you guys want to start getting into the conference coverage now?
Yeah, we just finished watching E3's conference. Right now they're just playing FIFA. Now that's all they're showing. Yeah.
It's pretty much into the after show now. So we'll probably go through and start where they began at the conference and go in chronological order, going over more in depth on the games that we personally enjoy in our upcoming. We'll touch on probably everything at least a little bit, but we'll kind of go through and give you our thoughts, opinions, and what we like to see next for the rest of E3.
Yeah,
so
very excited. It started pretty strong. I was surprised with E3.
Yes.
So far.
Okay, so starting us off at the beginning of the conference, we had Battlefield 5. They didn't go into much detail as they didn't release any new footage of their gameplay aspects. They're saving that for Microsoft conference, which is tomorrow. But they did highlight a few aspects of how the game will basically feel, how players can change aspects of the game, and a little bit of how the consumer aspect will work. They made a focus on customization and boosted destruction through their Frostbite engine. And so they're really pushing the bounds to make it it's like the same experience, but it's basically an up of what they've done before. So nothing like really too exciting at this point. We'll basically know more once we see more gameplay footage, but I do want to make a note that they said that there would not be any new or implementation of loot boxes, but they didn't say that there wouldn't be any microtransactions at all. So with customization being a heavy theme for this game, there is to be expected that there will be paid microtransactions in the forms of cosmetics. So, but I mean, we'll wait to see more, but that's about all that they've had to share at the beginning. So getting on to the next spew of games that they had revealed, they went into the sports side of things, covering FIFA, the new Madden, NBA, which Michael's going to talk a little bit about that and his thoughts on it.
So I'm a fairly big gamer when it comes to sports games. Madden, it was more of what we come to expect with Madden. It looks good. I mean, if you like football games, Madden's the game to play.
Yeah.
FIFA is really big on the YouTube community. There's a lot of people. I assume it's going to be full of microtransactions like it always is, and probably loot boxes too. It is probably one of the most egregious finance models that EA has. But that's what the fan base likes. Or as
no new innovation, but just the new fix of the one that you've always wanted to play, that you've been playing for years.
And then the one that kind of interested me the most was the difference between the new reveal of NBA Live 19, I believe is the title, and its competition with 2K18 or 2K19 is what's going to come out.
Hopefully this one's not a disaster.
Yeah. 2K18, some of you guys know if you follow sports games, ton of microtransactions, kind of pay-to-skip content. You could be 85 overall. Just by paying, I think it was like $40 or $20. It took you like 4 days, 4 games. You had to play 4 games in order to change your haircut because of the microtransactions, or you'd have to pay real money. It was a ridiculous thing. Probably one of the worst 2K games just because of that factor. And then you have gameplay problems as well. I really liked NBA Live 18. I really like the story campaign, and I hope it just gets more popular and grows because I feel like 2K is not going to do anything better in regards to monetization. I think it's still going to be kind of pay-to-skip content and garbage, terrible cutscenes, terrible story modes. So I'm looking forward to NBA Live 19, and hopefully we'll get a review out on the channel here whenever it comes out.
From what you've seen so far, would you say that the gameplay looks any smoother, or do you see any changes?
I see an emphasis on dribble moves, which is kind of what 2K has been doing as of late, and it's been 2K gameplay. I don't want to spend 15 minutes on this, but 2K gameplay has kind of been bad, where you just dribble and you can just blow by people, dribble past them and score super easily. So I don't know. We'll see how the gameplay is when it comes out, because it was just a short trailer, but I just wanted to comment on that, and we'll see if it's a success or not. So
okay. Well, getting on to the next game that they revealed, this is a reveal. I didn't get to see if they actually had a teaser trailer for this. I was assuming not, because they had just an interview of the lead, I think, designer or one of the people that are working on the new Star Wars game, which we have an official title, which is called Star Wars Jedi: The Fallen Order, which they did give us a little bit of a hint. The guy said it takes place in the dark times, which with the interviewer asking a follow-up question, we figure out that is in between episodes 3 and 4 and will follow after the events of the Jedi Purge in Order 66, and supposedly we will be playing as a Jedi. So that's really cool. I'm a little hesitant because of how recent things have been in terms of like how EA has handled the Star Wars IP, especially with the latest catastrophe of Battlefront 2. So it's like one of those things, like, especially since we don't have any like really solid info or like reveals, like take it with a grain of salt, but it does sound promising, at least from a story aspect. We'll just have to wait and see when it comes out. Which, by the way, they did say that they're shooting for a holiday release in 2019, so it is coming out relatively soon. They'll probably talk about it the next E3, or maybe in the following months, maybe we might get a teaser, but that's all basically you know about right now. But getting on to the next Star Wars title, which is Battlefront 2, they did have an update. They showed new expansions for Geonosis and the addition of General Grievous. They also came out basically issuing a public apology, which you think they would stop at this point, because they've already done this before and it's not been good for them. But is there anything that you guys found that was, promising, or do you think that they're like actually genuine this time? Like, what would you expect?
So the guy who spoke,
Dennis?
One of the designers.
Yeah.
I do think he seemed, at least him, he seemed genuine, and because he said they had been talking to and listening to fans, and like they're supposed to, or we hope they do.
Yeah. And
he seemed fairly genuine in that case, but I do kind of like what they're doing, because they said they're implementing a new hunt mode, and we saw they were starting with Ewoks, and
I believe that's already out? Question mark. I don't really know. I don't really know specifically because I was one of the few suckers that actually bought Battlefront 2. But I will say I did like the game. It was a fun game. Like they did make it really well. It was just the poor use of progression and loot boxes in general. And their currency system was really broken. So that led me to drop off. So I believe if it wasn't already out now, it is coming out soon, the Ewok. But the Geonosis one is their latest one that still hasn't come out yet, but they
and that looks very cool. I also am excited for them to add General Grievous. I'm a huge fan of his.
Oh my gosh.
He's probably my favorite villain in the Star Wars series.
Yeah.
Probably.
He's pretty cool.
I am a fan of Episode 3. I don't know if that makes me a Star Wars idiot, but I am a fan of Star
Leave your
Wars
hate in the comments down below.
Yeah, please. I do like the third episode. I thought General Grievous was a total badass. 4 arms, like leading an android army, like what's not to love? He was intimidating. He was he was very fun to watch in the fights. So I grew up as a big fan of him. So I'm excited to see, if you can play as him, if you're gonna be fighting him. Like I'm very excited to see him in the game.
Yeah, they did announce that he would be one of the many playable characters to be in the addition of the new expansion, along with the addition of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. So that's really cool. We're also going to see Count Dooku, which that's going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of playground for them. But they did say that even though they're adding Geonosis, it's not going to be just like one map. They're actually going to have multiple different maps for across their different game modes. So that'll be interesting to see how they do that. I might even jump back on to see how well they do. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. But right now,
basically, all I want is to see in Episode 1 Anakin. I want to see a little boy Anakin.
A little boy.
I think that would be hilarious.
His power up is he calls a pod, and it like just takes your legs out.
Fly around, that would be fantastic.
Or maybe he like summons Jar Jar Binks and like gets on his back, and like Jar Jar's just like. Yeah, that would be interesting. EA, if you're watching, please.
Please. Right?
Alrighty, so getting on to the next one. This came kind of a surprise to me, which is the sequel announcement of Unravel 2, which also seems to be sporting the addition of co-op. So that's really exciting. But what were your first takes on seeing this unsurprising sequel?
Well, I thought it looked really cool. I'm a big fan of couch co-op games, like A Way Out, games like that we play together. It's just fun to have friends over and to be able to play through games together and, screw each other over.
And it's not something we see much anymore.
Stick around. Yeah, you don't see couch co-op games anymore. So I do like that they're trying to implement that and bring that back more or less. I'd love to keep seeing that. It looks like a lot of fun. It's a puzzle-solving platformer. It looks beautiful. It looks really. I don't know if that's. From the cinematic scenes we saw, it looks fantastic. We did see some gameplay. It looked incredible. I was staring at the trees a bit. The bark looked great, but it looks like a lot of fun. You're going to be using each other. You're connected by some yarn. You're a blue and red player, and you use each other to get around the puzzle. So you can swing from each other's rope. You can pull each other up. You can distract enemies. It did look like a lot of fun. Plus, they said, if you are playing by yourself, you can totally do that. The AI would work fine for that. Plus, you can pick up the other player.
Got that conjoined twin aspect.
Yeah,
I thought that was like one of the coolest things.
It was very cool. Yeah, it looks fun. I hope it looks very promising. I hope it's good.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be bringing aspects of the first game with vibrant colors and interesting layout of like puzzles and platforming stuff. So. It's definitely something that we'll probably check out. Maybe we can play it here. Who knows?
Yes.
Alright. Well, getting on to the next game, which is no surprise, there's another indie game, which Sea of Solitude, otherwise known as SOS. This is a indie game, but it's not a side scroller. It actually is. I would say it's more of maybe like a Gravity Rush. Well, not like in terms of like big scale, but like there's a third person perspective, and that you can move.
Open world.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly. We didn't see any gameplay.
Well, we did. There was hints at gameplay. Like it's like one of the. Well, as Michael points out, it's like pre-recorded gameplay without like the HUD, and like they might use like certain things to like adjust the camera angles. So yeah, it looks cool though. I'm not gonna lie.
I think the idea behind it is interesting. It appears like it's gonna be a pretty emotionally heavy game. They said it's basically about the human experience in dealing with being lonely.
Yeah, main theme is loneliness.
Stuff. Like the main theme is loneliness. You play as a woman who
turning into a monster.
So yes, her emotions, if not locked down, apparently can turn her into a monster. I don't know if that's metaphorical or if that's real. In the footage, we did see some actual monsters in there, and I think that's a really cool idea. I like the personification of someone's emotions in monster form. That's a really cool. I never get tired of seeing that.
I really like the water aspect too, because like when she's in the boat and she's looking down into the water, it could be like a thing they could use like symbolism, or it could be like that's a way to like them to manifest her actual because she's in like mid transition, or at least at a lower transition as we see when she's like in the boat, but like when she looks down in the water we see this like I assumed it as like a the full manifestation of that, and they said that the progression of this game would be trying to figure out how to stop the progression of being a monster.
To find a balance in your emotions, because like in life, like in real life, everything needs a balance. Like you could have a little bit more of this in your life, a little less of this would be good, stuff like that. I think the balance aspect of the gameplay, they can go a lot of places with it. Obviously, I have no idea what they're going to do, but I thought immediately of games like Amnesia and games like that, because it has the sanity system. Like the more you look at something grotesque or scary, the more you lose it, and you have to kind of balance yourself that way. So I don't know if the more you interact with something or have to deal with a certain aspect of the game, the crazier you get, or the more your monsters come out, the stronger they get.
Yeah.
So I think, there's a lot of places they could go. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I think the most interesting thing will be when they add more gameplay is seeing if there's a direct interaction with other monsters, or if it's more of like you're going through the level and there's like puzzles and it's more dealing with your internal struggle of being a monster and like how to revert that, or if it's actually going to have physical enemies that you actually have to go up against that are other monsters as you.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. Michael, do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, you guys pretty much covered it. It's not like my area of expertise. I'd check it out and probably play it.
We'll play it.
Yeah, but and I probably will enjoy it. But again, I kind of want to see more gameplay before I make a decision on it.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I'm like, I don't know if I want to play it, but it's like one that I'm like, I definitely appreciate the artistic approach that comes with it.
Do we have a release date or anything like that on that, or?
Not from what I saw.
Okay.
No.
I didn't think so.
But we do know that actually did, I'm going to backtrack for just a second, just announce that on Unravel 2, they did say that released today. So, if you're watching this later on, that may not matter, but if you're watching this semi-close, like, it's out now. You can go play it and download it. So, but that'll be really interesting to see. But getting on to probably, like, the highlight of this conference and the thing that I was looking forward to probably, I want to say the most, but it really was the only thing I was looking forward to going into this. And that is their new game from BioWare, and that is Anthem, which is a shared world, promising, like, single player. Like, it's got a story-heavy shared world game. It's set in a sci-fi, possibly has hints of magic or, like, fantasy-type elements sprinkled into it. We're not really sure too much about it, but we're going to go into... Like, we'll probably fill you on, like, what they covered and then what our thoughts on. So, Graham, do you want to go into, like, what they covered?
First of all, coming from BioWare, who had a bit of a hiccup with Andromeda.
A bit of a hiccup?
A bit of a hiccup with Andromeda. I'm a huge BioWare fan. I played all of the Dragon Age games, played all the Mass Effect games.
KOTOR.
Andromeda, loved it. I do think that, they still have potential. They'll definitely come back from Andromeda strong. I hope they do. They do excellent stories. They do excellent characters, and that makes me very excited to see what they do for it. And the explorable world, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's like just like moving around in the world is something that I think I would probably could spend like the most time in. Just like flying, because we don't see flying in much games, and it looks like they do it really well. It looks like it transitions between like all the animations they have.
Yeah.
I like that there's like a seamless transition between water and land and air,
Yes.
which we don't know if that's what's going to be like when the game actually releases, but you know, it's consistently showed that from last year's little gameplay demo of it and then this year's. So I mean, it's looking high hopes, you know.
Me and Josh had the same look on our face. We looked at each other because there was a part in the gameplay when they were showing it. They're showing on a mission. They did walk us through a mission. I believe it was called Scars of Villainy.
Yeah, and those are some enemy
those are the
types.
enemies. They're calling the enemy types
Yeah.
scars. They're calling them scars. And basically, they have created this acid-based weapon, and your squad is going to take this out.
Mm-hmm.
And along the way, as they were clearing out the base and killing the scars, one of the characters, a ranger type, which we'll get into, is flying through the air and then dives straight into the water and is propelled with the jets. And you see all these crazy-looking fish and wildlife, and it looks fantastic.
It really gives me, like, you know, when you ever like first watched like James Cameron's Avatar. I know a lot of people probably hate that movie, but like you got to admit, like, the way that they made the world feel alive and like how vibrant it was, it gives me kind of that vibe. In terms of story, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Horizon because, you know, it's set in a dystopia future, but it has remnants of old things that came before, and then also we don't know if there is an actual mythical aspect or if they just see the people that came before as gods, or if they're even aliens. We don't really know because So that's has me really intrigued to see what the story is going to be. I'm hoping from a BioWare game that the story isn't just something that they caked on at the very end. I mean, we'll see.
They did say there are things in the world, and you can see different beautiful cities that were built and all these massive robotic-looking electronic structures throughout the world that have been overgrown with plant life, and they said that these are tools and creations that the gods before everybody had left behind. And then they mentioned somehow there is potential to change aspects of the game, whether in story or, you know, something else. And that sounds very cool. So I'm interested to see in how, you know, playing co-op with your friends and going through these story missions, how you can kind of possibly change the world itself. And that it's all very exciting. Do you want to get into the
Javelins?
Yes, the javelins, the suits.
Yeah, why don't we go into that? So basically, when you play as the game, you're going to be playing as a freelancer who's basically kind of like a mercenary, takes jobs here and there, whether it's dispersing of enemies or going to retrieve certain items or taking out, certain threats. And each of these freelancers has suits called javelins. You are not restricted by one javelin. You can pick any of them at any time. There are currently, that we know of, at least 4 different options of javelins, which are the Ranger, the Colossus, the Interceptor, and the Storm. And each of them have their own gameplay aspects and abilities. Do you want to go into like what each of these are kind of like?
Yeah, that excited me a lot. Because I'm glad they touched on the fact that you're not locked into one suit. Because they made a point of you yourself. You are your character. You are not the suit you are wearing, which is nice. Because that obviously is going to lead. That's going to lead into the story aspect of it. Because you don't just want to be a suit.
Yeah. Although suits are cool though.
Suits are very cool. These suits are fantastic. But I was also worried that you would choose a suit and you'd be locked into a specific class, for lack of a better word. But that does not seem to be the case. You can switch between the Ranger, Colossus, and the difference between these, I'm very excited to test out the Storm suit. The Ranger is for close combats. It's your typical soldier.
He's like your he can do like all the different things equally well, but he's not specializing in a certain area.
And you have a Colossus who is a tank type suit. He's got the big weapons. He has a shield. And
he's pretty great.
We saw him pull his shield out and run through a minefield, just taking it all in the face.
He's got a bunch of different things. He's got like mortars. He's got machine guns and flamethrowers. Really heavy weapons. And that's probably one of like my personal favorites. I really like the Storm though because it has kind of like a magical like mage type aspect. But as far as right now, I always like going in heavy and like taking out as many enemies as I can. So
I did like that they added the minefield section in that. Like when they showed it, there's minefield and he pulls, like I said, he pulls out his shield and runs through all of them. That seems like something that would be best taken care of by the Colossus. So it does kind of show you need to diversify the suits you're wearing in your group. So you don't want to go in with all, soldiers or whatever. So it's important to have a mixture of people. So yeah, the Storm looks very cool. In the gameplay, we saw him shooting what looked like SMGs, and he was teleporting, and that he looks
had some energy-based abilities that he could project out.
Force field. He had a force field as well.
Yes, it looks very, very impressive.
Michael, do you want to talk about the shared world aspect of it and how it relates to the single player?
Yeah, so that was, I don't want to start out by being negative, but kind of one of the challenges they're going to have is kind of putting that together, having a single player world and then playing with friends and having a cooperative kind of missions. I think that's going to be a major challenge they're going to have to deal with, and they talked. The lead designer said, "Well, you can play the game solo, by yourself, but it's going to be really hard." And I'm like, if you have design parts that have to be with the Colossus or have to with, it's going to be restrictive. Even if you don't, it's not going to be optimal. And I like the co-op elements. Like there was one, teamwork kind of things. One, he threw I think it was like a freeze grenade, and then the mortar of the Colossus came out and destroyed all his enemies. And it's like, that's cool, except when anyone who's played online knows that does not happen. You have people flying on the other side of the map. You got one guy rushing and get killed.
Nobody works cooperatively.
Yeah, so it's like, I like that it's co-op. If you can play with friends, that's great, or people that you know. If you're going to play online, it's not going to be your experience. It's probably not going to be anything like that.
And I would say that's probably my definite, biggest worry for this game. Is how they're going to handle the shared world aspect, and also since it's such a big challenge trying to promise a shared world co-op experience that's provides everything that you get from a single player game, but also going for what they're known for and providing this really in-depth just blow you away single player story experience that really captivates you with narrative. And I don't really know how well they're going to be able to pull off, basically their A card when they're doing this other aspect that they've really not had any experience doing. So, definitely that's something that I, if you're trying to decide whether to buy this game, that aspect may make or break the game. Especially if you're somebody that's a fan of BioWare. So that might be something that you'll have to watch out for, Definitely watch probably a review if you can wait and not pre-order this thing. But it's got a lot of promising things, and I don't know if I would risk it if I was a standalone consumer anymore. But since we're part of the channel, I'll probably definitely buy it so we can review it for you guys.
One more thing kind of a continuation. Two other worries that I have. When we review the game, we need to talk about the single player experience. We need to look at going through a playthrough in single player, because some people just don't want to play multiplayer games,
or some people aren't even online.
Yeah. So and then second, since this BioWare, they're a great company, they make great games, but Andromeda had a bunch of bugs. Think about the amount of bugs when they're going to be flying in the air, going underwater, phasing through walls.
I remember
teleporting.
Michael, your first impression of this was so funny because he's we get to the scene where we're seeing the close up of people's faces out of the armor, and he's it's that's definitely not going to be as good. Did you see Andromeda at launch? It's So
those are just concerns that I have.
That's why they all wear helmets.
Yeah, that is
so you can't see it all the time.
But I really like the trailer too. I just kind of want to balance it out here. There are some concerns that I personally have for the game. It does look awesome. Graphics look great. Engine looks great. Gameplay looks fun.
Okay, so we're going to lead into wrapping things up here. We're going to go over some of the games that we most want to see from these new conferences, the different developers. So, Graham, what's some of the things that you're most looking forward to this week?
My number one game right now is Death Stranding, because we have that 9-minute video that is just up near, what exactly did we just see?
That's very true. Very mysterious.
Fantastic, yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. Very Kojima. But I'm just excited to hear more about it. Hopefully see some gameplay. And, I don't know if, a release date's too too much of a wish? Like,
I mean, I don't know. We might see a release date. It's definitely gonna be 2019.
Let's hope. I would love to see that. And then Code Vein. Code Vein is another one I'm very, very much looking forward to because I'm a huge Dark Souls fan. And it has the Dark Souls gameplay, plus you get a companion along the way, and that looks really fun. It has that anime style that we're fans of. That looks really cool too. It looks very pretty. So
it's like a show that I want to watch, but I guess I'm gonna have to play it.
But you're gonna play it.
Yeah.
Exactly. It looks really cool. So I'm excited for those two. Yeah.
Michael?
More just general stuff for me. I'm excited for what the surprises that Bethesda may have for us. I'm excited for Xbox and Microsoft conferences. See if they can come up with a couple exclusives. They have the better, more powerful console, but they don't have the better library of games. So that's something they need to continue working on. I don't think they're going to come out with Halo or anything like that this year. Any reveal for a major Halo game, which is a big thing for me. But I don't think so. So
they have that online one that they're working on right now, but it's not.
It's not Halo. So I mean, it is, but it's not. And then just a couple other conferences I'm looking forward to in general, and excited for this year's E3. There's kind of a lot of stuff coming out. So
I would say for me, I'm really looking forward to like all the surprises and the games that we don't know about. Like, you know, we have ones from like Rocksteady, Square Enix. Obviously, Bethesda's going to have a couple of games that they haven't announced yet that are going to be pretty big. And as well as Sony, I don't know if they're going to have any exclusives, like new ones that they haven't announced yet that they're going to reveal. That's something I'm definitely looking forward to this because those are most likely new IPs. As far as games that we know about that I'm really looking forward to seeing more, it'd be like Fallout 76. I'm really curious to see if they're going to do that better than the last one. I was a little disappointed with Fallout 4, but I'm optimistic because it does look like they've changed some things. In terms of like Sony's, I'd have to go like, Death Stranding is like definitely one that I think we need to see more of because we don't know anything about it other than it's a third-person game that's going to have share world aspects. So that's going to be intriguing. Other than that, I would say Ghost of Tsushima. That's another one I'm just really looking forward to because of just how unique the setting is. And, they got this thing where, it's kind of like an Assassin's Creed vibe, but, it's going to blow them out of the water, I think, because Assassin's Creed just lost, all momentum it ever had. So, but yeah, those are just a few games that I'm looking forward to. Obviously, I'm not going to see Red Dead at all because Rockstar doesn't show to these things, but I don't know. Yeah. But, that's all for me, so...
Yeah, so this has been our coverage of E3 so far. EA's conference today. Addicts, check back in for more soon.